Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is my Magic's Deepest Chasm Pitch LUFENIA Plus run. And this is probably I think this is the hardest LUFENIA so far, just because I didn't bring any defense mitigation, but it's just the requirements to uptick the orb. You have to do 850,000 HP damage in one turn with one target. So here I ended up right away just swapping out Setzer for my twins friend unit. Went straight into the burst because the orb does start here at the beginning of the match, but it'll completely go away once you drop the boss below 50% HP. And getting rid of the orb, I think, is the first key thing. And starting the match, the mannequins don't have a lot of defense. And the goal to do a lot of damage in this fight is to do AoE Brave damage, but trying to do a single target HP dump, or having somebody like Strago Twins, somebody that does total HP damage to each individual target. And you'll see here that the Twins Mega Flare does like 1.1 million damage per enemy. Their damage output is absolutely insane. I'm still thinking about potentially going all in on Twins just because of how much damage they do. It's insane. Just right there, my Twins character doing, I think it's in their S1 is 300,000 damage per character, and the friend unit is doing over 1 million damage on the LD. So they definitely can dish out a lot of damage. Now, the key is to, again, do AoE Brave hits. So like, for example, here, Garland with his LD, he hits all the targets and then does that single HP dump, does a single HP dump on the main boss. You'll see that when Garland tries to hit the main boss here like this, it's only doing like 3,000 damage per hit. Where if you hit the mannequins, he's capping on Brave, so both mannequins will contribute towards your Brave gains, but then all that Brave, you want to dump it on one character. And again, characters like Strago would do that because they hit all the targets, but then he also does total HP damage. And what you want to try to probably avoid is split HP damage, because what that means is if you're doing, say, 300, if you have like 300 damage, but they have to split that, then you're only doing 100,000 damage per enemy. And I mean, doing damage on the mannequins and dumping your HP on the mannequins is really not that useful, or killing the mannequins, because the mannequins are just going to keep getting revived. You do nothing by really killing the mannequins. So the goal is maybe to kill one of them and leave the other one because there's always going to be a mannequin. When you kill one, it's not going to automatically get revived, but as soon as you kill the second one, the main boss will revive the mannequin. So you'll see here, Warrior of Light killed him, the boss will automatically revive that mannequin. So the only time that the second mannequin will ever be revived is if you let the boss take a turn, and the boss will take a forced turn after 10 consecutive turns that you take. So on that 10th turn, it's going to move its turn all the way up, and if one of the mannequins is dead, it'll revive them. If both mannequins are up, there's a chance that it'll do either like an attack disable one of your enemy or one of your characters with, I think it's charm or something like that, or it's going to do an HP attack. And so I have to avoid the HP attacks as much as possible because I don't have any healers in the party. This is just pure damage because it is, for me, a damage race. The goal is to try to just kill the main boss as soon as you can, because you don't want him to keep reviving the mannequins. And then you'll see here that right below, once it hits below 50%, the boss is going to get increased defense. It's going to revive both mannequins, but then also it's going to increase their stats, and then on top of that, it's going to give them huge Brave gains. So now that you have the added defense, Brave gains, all this stuff, you need somebody to completely break them. So you'll see here the countdown goes away, revives the mannequin because it's under 50%, and thanks to Setzer, Garland is able to break both mannequins. But you'll see here that I actually break everybody, and that's thanks to Setzer. If it wasn't for Setzer, then I would have to have used most likely the twins. Twins will automatically break all enemies with the S1 or the EX. So besides being the only team member that can do over 850k damage, on top of that, you do need to bring some type of insta break, I think, into this match. If not, you're gonna have to, I think, do a lot of defense down, like Ferris or Porum alongside Jack, and then bring Kurosame. Maybe if you since they're weak against magic, bring in like Vivi as an LD, things like that. But I avoided all that and went just straight with Setzer. The first 50% of the match, you don't have to worry about that. You'll see here that the enemy took a turn, and I would have had to have reset if it missed that attack. Or if it didn't miss that attack. It does like a brave gain, and then it's an HP dump. And technically it'll kill, it would have killed Setzer if that attack missed. So one of the things to probably also do is allow B to attack, so that way, if both mannequins are up, try to let B attack so that you don't, that way you avoid it forcing its turn all the way up, and at least you can either Warrior of Light, you can use Warrior of Light call or something to prevent any kind of HP damage. But if you lose track of your turns and then both mannequins are up and the boss takes a turn, right there I could have got one shot and had to have reset the match. So you'll see that just that alone right there can get very tricky. Doing the damage is not that tough, especially when you're bringing in Setzer. You're automatically going to be doing damage, but it's more of handling the mannequins. You'll see here that B is going to take a turn, and here I'm fine with that. Right here, the magical allure, it's going to pretty much do an it's going to disable one of my characters, but the attack missed, so didn't do anything there. So now you have 10 turns to be able to just continuously try to do damage. And again, you'll see here that with Setzer, at the end of the match, I guess it doesn't really matter doing single target damage because of Setzer, but still you want to be able to do AoE damage and then HP dump into the middle boss. I try to run this with a few other people. I did bring in Porum, and Porum was doing a good job because Porum does have, like, I think it's like 80% defense down, and then you pair that with like Jack and stuff like that, and then you put Kurosame in there. You could deal a good amount of damage. At the end, I think you only need Jack's call to be able to lower down the mannequin's defense enough, so that, remember, it's about doing AoE damage, and the mannequins are the ones providing all of that brave to you. So the problem is that since you're consistently killing the mannequins, when you do Jack's call, you have to be careful when you use the call, because if you use Jack's call, you kill the mannequins and that's it. Then you can't reapply Jack's call because you can only use it once. Where here, if you notice, I didn't have any kind of defense down. I brought Arciela here to do the HP disable, attack disable. So now for 2 turns, I know that they're not gonna do anything. And even Penelo, although Penelo uses, I believe it's like Evanescence or something like that, which cleanses all of her buffs, all of her teammates' buffs, and then does 100% HP damage to all the characters. Because that move is an HP attacking move, it's the HP disable with Arciela is going to completely stop her from doing that move anyway. So I think that that's more important in bringing in, like, for example, like Setzer, and just trying to shred the damage off the boss as much as possible. I did bring in Reno with his pyramid, just in case, let's say, like Warrior of Light was going to attack or anything like that. It doesn't help for Penelo, because just because, again, Penelo will cleanse those buffs. You need some type of turn disable, like Agrius, bringing in Agrius and doing or confusing the enemies, paralyzing the enemies. Also, silence with Agrius will work, which you get from EX, but it won't work on Warrior of Light, because Warrior of Light is, or silence, I think, is only for magic attacks, if I'm not mistaken. Where Warrior of Light is doing physical, so it's not gonna, or melee, so it's not gonna work, and it won't disable him. Now the thing is that if Warrior of Light attacks, it's not such a big deal. But he does use, I think it's called which one? It's Bitter End, which is, I think it's LD move. So he's gonna lock all of my characters to just target him. And for Setzer and the twins, it's not a big deal because the twins do AoE damage anyway. So it doesn't matter who you target, you're still hitting this for the same amount to each character. But then Garland starts becoming an issue because now Garland's only going to be able to target him. And almost all of Garland's attacks are AoE Brave, but then like a single target HP. Aside from his, I think his LD. But I mean, for his LD, it's only the first hit that I think it's an AoE HP damage. Or that does AoE HP damage, but other than that, I think that other characters that you could bring would be, for example, like Terra, because Terra does, I think with her S2, with her whole meteor thing, Brave hits to everybody, so you're gaining a lot of Brave by hitting the mannequins, but then you're dumping the HP into the main boss. So she could work, I think Quark could work, I think Stroggle could work. I'm trying to think. Who else could work? I think probably, I'm not sure if Vivi would also work on here. But again, anybody that does AoE Brave. And you'll see here that by killing a Warrior of Light, when the boss's turn came up, it used the turn to revive Warrior of Light, but then soon after, then I end up killing Panello. So then if the boss takes another turn, it'll revive Panello instead of doing, HP damage or anything like that. So at the end, you could alternate between killing both mannequins and kind of target them. I do have more than enough turns left. I think it's like 75, 85 for the turn limit on this LUFENIA Plus mission. So I did have some wiggle room here. I think I did play it a bit conservatively as well. Sometimes targeting the mannequins just to defeat one of the mannequins, knowing that the boss was going to take its turn, or the boss's turn was coming up, and that way it would take its turn trying to revive a mannequin instead of trying to do any kind of HP damage. And the twins, I ended up saving Mega Flare just to keep reapplying their buffs. One thing I did notice about twins that kind of threw me off a bit was their Mirage S and Mirage L, I believe it is. They don't last a long time. They only last for about like 4 turns or so. I mean, you could reapply them different ways. So you can use obviously the LD. You could also use their I think it's their AA ability to put that back on there as well. But yeah, I just noticed that I guess their buffs don't really last that long, and that's the only thing that kind of threw me off. I did try to use El Narsh as well. I did try to run him, and he does a fantastic job of disabling all of the enemies' turns. So he would be somebody that maybe you could try if you do have El Narsh. My issue with El Narsh is that he just doesn't deal, I think, enough damage, and that's the issue I was running into. Is you're gonna have El Narsh's kit at one point. I feel like you're gonna have to use his HP attack, and that just doesn't do any damage. And being that that the boss has really high defense, you're gonna just have to try and target the mannequins. I think with El Narsh, he just doesn't do any damage. But Terror definitely does work on here, but I couldn't get him to work. Then I had also brought I think it's Porum, and Porum was doing a really good job to allow my team to hit very, very hard throughout the whole match, because Porum has defense down, I think like 70 or 80%, and then you pair that with Jack's Call, things like that. But I was having the same issue where then I would kill the mannequins, and then Jack's Call would go away, Kurosami's Call would go away, and I mean, Porum's defense down is enough, but I wasn't capping. But again, I can maybe bring in another different call or two, and it would have worked out. And then if you do take HP damage, Porum does have Last Stand, so you could actually tank one of the hits, things like that. But I found this to be the better team to use, and I still had 12 turns left, so I still had some room for error here. But yeah, bring in AoE Brave damage dealers that will dump all that into a single target, and I think that that's your key here. So if you have a team in mind and you're close but can't complete it, put it in the comments. I'll try to run it with that team and see if I can complete it. Good luck. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. Also, let me know in the comment section what you think about this mission and who you used to complete it. Check the links in the description for Opera Omnia websites that give you a bunch of helpful information, and I'll see you on the next one.